Hi there, thanks for joining me. Today I'm creating a watercolour painting of a maple leaf. It's actually going to be my day 35 of the 100-day project. I've lightly sketched my leaf in graphite and I'm flooding it with clean water. If you don't know me, I'm Dawn from Dawn's Creative Life. I enjoy mixed media and nature journaling, and I love combining them both together. I'm making sure to apply a lot of water, keeping it inside the edges of my sketch. Now I want the water to sit and soak in a bit so that it penetrates the paper fibres. So I'll do some swatching while I wait, and I'm allowing the colours to be random so I can see how they'll mix together, because that's what's going to happen when I start painting. I'm just using some reds and browns, autumny kind of tones, and seeing how they go. Okay. Just looking at the colours on my leaf. All right, happy with that. So I will start painting. And I'm starting with my lightest colour first, which is quinacridone rose. And I'm not being fussy about placement because I'm letting the water do the work. The paint will only go where the water is, which is why it was important to stay inside the sketch lines. And I'm just moving it around and letting the water carry the pigment. Not being overly fussed. I'm not being fussy either on getting it all even. I want to have uneven tones in it because the leaf is quite mottled. Just pushing the pigment around, letting the water take it. Okay, I think we're about done there. Cool. So now I am going to move on to my second colour, which is Crimson Lake. And this is a wet in wet technique. So again, the water is doing the work, just letting the pigment blend and move around. Just dropping it here and there, letting it soften itself off. Okay. This next colour is cadmium red hue, and again just randomly dropping it onto the leaf and just randomly pushing it around. This is why it's important to flood your paper first with water, so that the pigment that you're applying has some freedom of movement. And adding a bit more cadmium. The leaf is very dappled in colour, so really lends itself to the randomness of this technique. I also did a coloured pencil of this maple leaf, but I much prefer the watercolour to capture the textures of the leaf. And my last colour that I'm applying is burnt umber, and I'm going to add some to the leaf body but also to the edges, which are quite brown and crispy. So this will make them stand out a little more, just to capture those textures. And the paint will only go where the water is. And so now I'm going to blend those edges in a bit so they'll look a bit softer. Okay, just do a final little blend around. All right, so now we're going to define the veins, and I'll do that with clean water on my brush, and I'm using a number 2 here. Not too much water. I'm cleaning my brush in between each brush stroke and then removing that excess water on a sponge. If we use too much water, it will just bleed out into the painting and we won't get that clear line. Which is why it's also important to clean your brush in between each brush stroke. Just looking at my leaf, following the lines. And I'm going to give you the heads up. My camera decided to crash on the next step, which was defining the veins further with burnt umber. Anyway, there's always a technical issue, but it's okay. You'll get the gist. And I'm just running this arterial vein into the central vein to make it look more realistic. The same with this one, carrying it through into that central vein, following the line. And just a couple more to go. Okay, check that it's dry, which it is. And you can see that the veins have magically appeared, which was where my camera crashed. Now we wanted to paint the burnt umber into that vein when the leaf was dry, because I didn't want it to run into the wet watercolour. Now I used a number 1 brush for this. Now I'm going to do those crunchy edges that are turned up on the leaf. And again, they have magically appeared. Anyway, I just used burnt umber on this, and you can see those turned up edges at the bottom of the leaf there as we zoom out. So it was just capturing those little shapes. And now to add the painting to my journal, I inked the edges of the image and stuck it on with a glue stick. The same with the colour swatch, and now I'm adding some info. I'm adding different info to the pencil drawing you saw on the left. So I'll add that it is not an Australian native, but it is a popular ornamental garden tree. Cool. And that is about it. If you enjoyed this process tutorial, I'd love you to give it a thumbs up, drop a comment, give me a follow. And thanks so much for joining me, and hopefully I will see you next time.